Hello, my dear friends. I hope you all are doing fine. I was not really able to be consistent because of my health, but I'm back again with this video. And welcome to this video series where I was talking to you about the concept of Samkhya philosophy, and I was not talking to you about none other than Sage Kapila who gave this philosophy. And let me just tell you one thing: this is among us the sixth school of philosophy, which was very ancient, and it gave certain concept which was related to Purusha and Prakriti. So you already have a brief idea about what is Purusha and what is Prakriti. तो क्या है वो पुरुषा एंड प्रकृति? पुरुषा इज समथिंग विच इज कॉन्सियसनेस. ओके, एक होता है कॉन्सियसनेस और एक होता है प्रकृति. ये दोनों को मिला के बनते हैं महत, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट इट गिव्स राइज टू डिफरेंट इवोल्यूट्स एंड इवॉल्वेंट्स which constructs the mechanical and constructs the whole evolution process of the human being. Okay, so that's about the concept of Purusha and Prakriti. In Samkhya Karika 10, what Kapila explains, he says that the Purusha and Prakriti is completely different, but there are certain causes, but there are certain effects in the environment which is possible because the essence is present in the like cause. Okay, so I did talk about the concept before in the previous video as well. Like it can be you. Okay, there are some qualities which is inherited in you, which may be because of your genetics, which may be because of your environment, but mostly it is because of your genetical conditions. Okay, it is because some of the other characteristic or the qualities are present in your parents, and that is reflected in your personality. Okay, that was the conversation which I did in the previous Karika. What will I explain today? I'll explain the same concept but with a different depth. Okay, I'll give certain examples related to this. What Sage Kapila explains about 10th Karika. He says, before going any further, we need to properly understand the fundamental entities which is there in Purusha and Prakriti. He also says, let me just read that out to you. Purusha and Prakriti are unmanifested state and are not really engaged in some action. Cause and effects are engaged in some actions. So what really happens? Like there is a thing called Purusha, okay, where uh, where the consciousness is present. Okay, and there is a thing called Prakriti where the consciousness is absent. So when the Prakriti, when the Purusha and Prakriti gets collaborated with each other, the consciousness comes out, and that gives rise to a lot of evolutes and evolvents. तो यहाँ पे सेज कपिला is trying to make us understand that एक एक चीज़ें होती है जो अनमैनिफेस्टेड फॉर्म में होती है विच इज़ नोन एज अव्यक्त, और एक एक चीज़ मैनिफेस्टेड फॉर्म में होती है विच इज़ नोन एज व्यक्त. मैनिफेस्टेशन का मतलब क्या है? यहाँ पे सांख्य का फिलॉसफी में डज नॉट टॉक अबाउट सम पावर्स विच इज़ देयर इन यू और हाउ विल यू टेक दैट पावर्स आउट, but it talks about something which is already there in you. Okay, like let's just take an example of let's just understand this concept called व्यक्ता एंड अव्यक्ता. व्यक्त क्या होता है? जो अनमैनिफेस्टेड फॉर्म में है, जो हमें दिखाई नहीं देता है. वी कांट सी व्यक्त थ्रू आवर परसेप्टिव सेंसेस, और वी कांट यूज अ लॉजिकल रीजनिंग टू फाइंड दैट आउट एज वेल. But there is something called vyakta which is visible to us, which is seen to us because it is brought out to the effect. Like for example seed, है ना? सीड जो होता है उसके अंदर ही ब्रांचेस, उसके अंदर ही फ्रूट्स, उसके अंदर ही फ्लावर्स प्रेजेंट है ऑलरेडी, बट इट इज़ इन द अव्यक्त कॉम्पोनेंट. ओके, इट इज़ नोन एज अव्यक्त. जो सीड्स है उसमें बहुत सारे कॉम्पोनेंट्स प्रेजेंट है, बट इट इज़ अव्यक्त. It is not seen to us, but that doesn't mean that it does not have those components. And when it becomes a plant, we can see it, we can actually eat that fruit, we can actually sense that leaves. Okay, we can see the whole process happening. That means it is because of, it is vyakt, it is manifested, it is not in the unmanifested form. That is what I'm explaining you here, that vyakta is something which is not seen and avyakta is something which is seen. For example, let's just take an example of DNA. Okay, the DNA has certain like chemicals, has the components of becoming a perfect human being, becoming a proper human, and giving rise to different organs and blood vessels and whatever, like the components which is responsible to make a human body. Okay, so the DNA and the chromosome have that components, within themselves, but it is not seen to us because it is not in the vyakta form, it is not in the manifested form. So here Sage Kapila is trying to sell you that whatever you see in the world is not because it is randomly existed or some form like that, but it exists because the cause is already present in the effect. Like the effect is already present in the cause. Okay, it can be your intelligence. Okay, it can be, for example, you who is just watching this video out there. You must be having that level of intellect, you must be having some creativity skills, it must be there in you, which is said by different philosophers, which is said by different gurus and sages out there. There are certain things, the when you remove the I, which is called ego, your creative power increases. But there are certain ways where you actually stop those creative powers which is actually there in you. It can be an example. Let's just take an example of me. Okay, I must be stopping myself in order to get ahead with my life, or I must be stopping myself to get ahead with my potential, and I must not have unlocked that level of potential which is already there in me, but it is not seen to you, it is not even seen to me because it is in the avyakta form. Okay, it is not in the vyakta form. That is why it is not seen to you or me. Okay, means how will we get out of that? How will we make that unmanifested form manifested? It is because of the consciousness. It happens because when you use your mind, when you use your intellect to create something, and this mind and intellect is brought out by the proper collision of three and the proper equilibrium of three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. Okay, so what Sage says, that all these qualities are present in us, but it is in the equilibrium state which is present in Purusha itself. But when the disequilibrium happens, like there are some qualities, like for example, if I'll get into that detail of these qualities later in the video, but let me just give a brief overview. Okay, so all these qualities get disoriented, and that's how the human beings are created. We all are not perfect, and we don't even want to be perfect. This is what Kapila explains, that you're not supposed to be perfect. You're not supposed to do everything out there. One can be an IAS officer, one can be an engineer, one can be a beggar, one can also be a person who is just working somewhere. The society is built with that level of equilibrium. The society is built with that condition where everyone has equal respect, everyone has an equal, value. For example, if I want to, like let's say dry clean a dress, if everyone in the world has to become engineer, or if everyone in the world has to become doctors, then where will I give my dress to dry clean? I need a person, right? So everyone, they have their value in this world, and that is what Kapila is trying to explain, that there are certain values, there are certain things which is available in the cause which is brought out to effect, and which is not really seen. That is how you can unlock your potential, you can unlock the qualities which is already present in you. Okay, and he also says this concept as Satkāryavāda, which I did explain yesterday as well, not yesterday but before some days. He says that creation is not the creation out of nothing, it is manifested of what already exists. Okay, there are certain creations which is there in the world, which is because of the existed form which is there in the brain itself. You are not because you are nothing, you are because there will be something which is present in you. You just have to find it out yourself. Thank you very much. It was a longer video, but I hope I made my point clear. Take care of yourself. Have a great day. Bye bye. Take care.